Hey guys, how you doing today? Doing good? Did you have a nice breakfast? Did you have a good ride to work? Talk to an old friend? See anything interesting today? I'm asking you a lot of weird questions, huh? Well, one of the things at Server Plus we are struggling with right now is making small talk with customers. Small talk is important because we need to try to connect with the customers. We need to build rapport and assign the customer as an ally. The easiest way to do this is to engage in small talk with a customer. Ask them simple questions, try to find connections. Small talk is not this menial banter that most people think it is. To engage in small talk with a customer is simply just to try to find something in common, try to find some common ground, some connection with them. You're looking for common ground so that you can relate to them. It should never take more than 3 minutes to find a connection with someone, no matter what demographic they come from. I'll get into specific things that you can start with to ask questions, but first let me make an analogy with you. Every time you talk to someone that you've never talked to before, you're forming a metal link with them. Every time you have another conversation with that person, that link gets stronger. The better you are at making these connections with people, the easier it is to maintain their confidence, and the links you make will allow you to control the call, which will improve stats like talk time and survey scores. And you'll even be surprised how often customers will call back to commend you for your service, and you'll get some incentive points. When you're forming these links with customers, you're allowing them to think of you as a friend, and you should be trying to do this because people trust their friends. So we can gain a customer's trust and confidence, and our calls would be better and easier. I want you to find that one thing you have in common with someone. Have you ever talked to someone who always seems to be, negative? That person is really difficult to talk to. When you say, "I love Mexican food," and they go, "I hate Mexican food," this is not a good conversational practice. This person is simply expressing the things that make you different. You never want to focus on anything negative on a call, and instead of trying to find a gap or the distance between you and a customer, we need to be finding that me too moment in a conversation. Because when you do that, you're on the same side of something, and that's huge. Once you have met common ground with a customer, you can start from there, and you can make a connection with them. And before you know it, they're not upset about their internet anymore or their bill anymore. They're just enjoying a conversation with a fellow human being. And if you can manage to balance between finding those connections with someone, building rapport, and staying on task with troubleshooting, you'll reach a point where you can ask a customer to bypass or tell them you're going to have to escalate a ticket, and the customer will not fight you about it at all. They will appreciate your help for what you were able to provide and trust in your solution. If we can achieve this, we will have less checking on escalation calls and less supervisor calls. And trust me, once we have built a reputation of exceptional people skills and customer service, there will not be a better call floor out there to work for. So what can you say to engage the customer, you might be asking? Luckily for you, I've made a list of topics you can start with. And once you find a connection with the customer, it'll open the floodgate, where you won't even be able to get the customer to stop talking. Or at least, you won't have any problems with losing the customer's confidence or problems with call control. This list is focused on ways to start a conversation and getting the customer to talk about themselves a little bit. Once they start talking, though, it's up to you to make the connection with the customer. Okay, so the first one I have is ask them, "Do you have any plans for tonight?" This is useful because most of the time someone will at least mention something they're interested in, or you can either expand on that or connect with their interest. You can also replace tonight or this evening with an upcoming event or holiday. So like, do you have any plans for the 4th of July? Another thing you can ask, do you like to stream any shows or movies? I mean, we do internet tech support. This one's kind of, I include this one because it seems like it's the most appropriate one to ask just out of nowhere. Ask them if they like to stream. And when you find out what they like to stream, see if you can relate to some of the same shows that you watch. Ask them, what do you usually use the internet for? Find out what they're doing on the internet. Find out what their interests are, what their hobbies are. You can even just straight up ask them, do you have any hobbies? These little things will get the customer to talk about themselves a little bit, tell you a little bit about their life story, and you can find these connections with them. Another great thing to ask is, what is your favorite thing to eat? If you ask them that, I love talking about food. Most people do, and they'll talk about it for a while. And if you're open to all different kinds of food, then it'll be really easy to make a connection with somebody. Another really good question to ask is, what do you do for a living? Now, read their voice when you ask them this. If they're excited about you asking that question and they seem like they want to tell you about it, then you can make connections with them based off of what they do for a living. See if you can find any common ground there. And my personal favorite question to ask is, do you have any kids? If they say no, then you can easily redirect to another one of those questions. But if they say yes, they'll talk about their kids for as long as you let them. And this will give you many opportunities to make that connection. Guys, people will forget what you do and they'll forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So if you focus on making these connections with people, they will remember that feeling of, I called them and they made me feel like they cared, or they made me feel heard, or they made me feel important. And all of this can be accomplished just by simply making connections with customers. I want to leave you with this. Everyone you know, everyone you love, your best friend, your lover, your teacher, your boss, every one of these people that you've become so close with was at one time a stranger.